Hey, what's up, everyone? John Manson of Seer Red, back again with another update as we preview Liberty and UTEP's kind of going into that midweek schedule as Conference USA does in the month of October. This game will be played on this coming Wednesday, October 8th in El Paso, Texas. Flames and Miners meeting up. Both teams are 1-4 and 0-1 in conference play, and we'll break down this matchup, key things to watch, especially from Liberty's perspective, what Liberty can do to get over the hump, and why this game is probably the most important game left on Liberty's schedule. We'll talk about all of that. First, kind of want to talk about, address the elephant in the room. Obviously, the team is struggling, right? I mean, 1-4, four straight losses. Haven't beaten an FBS opponent since last November. 4-8 in the team's last 12 games. I've lost count of how many games in a row Liberty's had a deficit. I mean, it goes back all the way to the end of the 2023 regular season when Liberty last played in the Sun Bowl, which they'll be playing in on Wednesday out in El Paso, that regular season finale of the 2023 season. Every game since then, so that's the last two games of 2023, the conference championship game, and then the Fiesta Bowl, and then all 12 games in 2024, and now all 5 games so far of 2025. So you're 17, 18, 19 games straight that Liberty's faced some type of deficit. Obviously coming off the loss to Old Dominion, the offense has been putrid, to be honest, unable to string together enough successful plays, successful drives to put points on the board. I mean, when you're scoring less than 20 points a game, that's not enough to get it done. I mean, ODU scored 21 points, and yeah, they should have scored more. If you look at, the turnovers they had, 3 inside the red zone, 0 for 5 in the red zone were the Monarchs. And how much of that was Liberty's defense making plays? How much was that, the weather conditions and that sort of things? But, it's definitely something to be concerned about. And obviously, Ethan Vasco, we don't really know his status and where he's at. He did not play with a shoulder injury. I think the Flames would be hopeful to get him back this week against UTEP, especially with 4 extra days to rest, recover, and prepare for that game. And injuries have really been a huge part of the struggles for the team, especially on offense. I mean, you're down to, with Vasco and Berger both out, you're down to your 3rd string quarterback. Evan Dickens had concussion-like symptoms. Hopefully he would be back for the game against UTEP. Vaughn Blue's been unable to stay on the field. Starting left tackle Trey Badowski has been injured. And really, I think the biggest issues for Liberty on the offensive side of the ball has been on the offensive line. Like the quarterback, whether it's Vasco or Merdinger or Hauk or whoever has been back there, does not have time to sit in the pocket and go through their reads. They might be able to get one quick look at their first read, and then they're trying to bail, either because there is pressure on them or they feel like there's pressure on them, just to a lack of pressure, lack of keeping the pressure off of them consistently. So I can certainly understand that as a quarterback when you're sitting in there and want to go through your reads, but a lot of the time, Liberty hasn't been able to do that. So a lot of inconsistency and struggles on the offensive line. It's kind of like, how do you get better there? So obviously a lot to be frustrated about, a lot to be disappointed in. I don't think anybody expected Liberty to be 1-4 at this point in time in the season. We have at Seer talked about the struggles that the team could face in the month of September with so many new faces on the offensive side of the ball. But even through that, I still didn't expect a 1-4 record. I thought 2-3 could potentially be within in the realm of potential outcomes. But I really thought 4-1 or 3-2 would probably be where this team would be. And then, after you come off that Jack State loss and you lose to Bowling Green, which, if you go back and look at what Jack State and Bowling Green has done in the season so far to this point. Since those wins over Liberty, those teams aren't quite as good as we may have thought they were. Like I thought Jack State might have been the team to beat in Conference USA following that win over Liberty, but and I don't think that anymore. I think they're more of a middle of the pack team, which is kind of what I expected in the preseason of the Gamecocks under their first year head coach. So it just goes to show you the struggles Liberty's face and where Liberty's playing at. Like they're just not playing at a high level, obviously. I mean, when you're 1-4, I don't care what your schedule is, you're obviously not playing at a high level. But we can talk about, should so-and-so be fired and do there need to be changes made and all that sort of thing. And those are valid criticisms and valid points of conversation. We've talked about it some on our ASOR podcast. Make sure you're subscribed and checking that out each and every week, where we kind of go into that more in detail. But that's not really what this is about. This video is about the breakdown of this game and this game against UTEP and how it affects Liberty's season. And I said at the beginning, I think this is probably the most, it's the next game, right? That's what coaches and players say all the time. But, looking at it from a big picture, I think it's the most important game left on Liberty's schedules, and again, it's easy to say that, but like UTEP's 1-4, they're struggling, and Liberty obviously 1-4, 4 straight losses. Neither team has beaten an FBS opponent this season. So both teams are desperate for a win. Liberty, if Liberty goes out there and loses to the Miners in El Paso to fall to 1-5, 0-2, virtually out of the Conference USA championship race at that point, what does that mean for the team this season? What does that mean for this program going forward? How do you bounce back from that? I'm not sure you can. And you have just 6-day turnaround for your next game at home against New Mexico State, with the extended travel from, El Paso, Texas, all the way back to Lynchburg, where the team's going to stay Wednesday night. It won't come back till Thursday. Going to be out there for, 2.5, 3 days. So, but more than that, like, where would this team go? Like, it would be, you can sit here and make a case if you're the coaching staff of, yes, we're 1-4. Yes, we've struggled. Yes, we've had a lot of issues. Yes, we are not playing well. But a lot of these issues have been self-inflicted. We've had opportunities to win the game and had one-score games in the fourth quarter, and all 4 of the losses. And we're still, just being 0-1 in conference play, we still have a path to get to a conference championship game, to be in the mix in a conference championship race. That's not, that's not what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, that I think the coaching staff can sell all those points, and I think they are selling all those points to this team this week leading into the UTEP game. If you were to lose to UTEP, what can you sell then? Like, you just lost to one of the worst teams in the FBS. You're 1-5. You're 0-2 in conference play. Like, I think it'd be a really hard time, a really hard sales job for the coaching staff to keep this team together, to keep them bought in, to keep them moving forward, to keep them striking the stone, as they talk about. So you have to win this game at UTEP if you want any chance of getting back to a bowl game. If you want any chance of being respectable in conference play this season, you have to win at UTEP. You lose this game, and you could be looking at a 4-8 or worse season this year, 2-10. I mean, that's what's in the realm of possibilities if Liberty loses to UTEP. If you win this game, things could turn. You could win, string together some games, because after the UTEP game, you got 3 straight games at home against teams that, on paper, it's hard to say Liberty be favored or should win any game at this point in time when you have so many struggles, but teams that you can beat, New Mexico State, they're struggling. Go look at what they've done. Then you get Delaware and Missouri State, who have had strong starts to their season, strong starts to their Conference USA and FBS tenure, but again, their first year in the conference, like under a third-year coaching staff and a team that was, that's just 2 years removed from going 13-0 in conference in the regular season, including that conference championship game and winning Conference USA and making it to the Fiesta Bowl and, being in 6 straight bowl games. Like, you should be better than Delaware and Missouri State. You should be able to beat them at home. So again, that doesn't mean that they're going to, but it sets a path up that if you beat UTEP, you have that path to string together some wins. I think the optimism for the bowl opportunities in a bowl game come into play, and you can start thinking about that as a team and as a coaching staff, and then also to try to string together some wins and get into the mix in this Conference USA championship picture. Again, I'm not saying that Liberty is a contender and will be a contender in Conference USA. They haven't proven that yet. But that's what the coaching staff can tell them, that we still have that path and everybody's counting us out. Let's go out and perform to the best of our ability and see what happens. So looking at UTEP, like I said, they're struggling. They're coming off back-to-back 3-9 seasons. They're under second-year head coach Scotty Walden, who came from Austin P, the FCS level. He's brought a lot of energy and excitement and enthusiasm into the program. They've had 2 really good recruiting classes and transfer portal hauls in his first 2 seasons. I think a lot of people were expecting them to kind of trend up this year. It is their last year in Conference USA before they move over to the Mountain West. This might be the last time Liberty and UTEP meet ever. I wouldn't expect them to be, heading to the same conference anytime soon. They just kind of both been placeholders here in Conference USA these last 3 years. So they might not play ever again. Liberty's 2-0 against UTEP, winning each of the last 2 seasons. First in El Paso in 2023 in the regular season finale, and then last year in Lynchburg, 28-10 win over UTEP. The biggest thing about the Miners is they brought in Malachi Nelson, a former 5-star quarterback. He was rated the top quarterback in his recruiting class by some services, the same class of Arch Manning at Texas. Like, that's how highly touted Nelson was coming out of high school. He signed with USC, spent a year or 2 there, then transferred to Boise State, where he lost the battle last training camp and decided to enter the transfer portal. He's now ended up at UTEP, where he won the starting job, beat out the incumbent Skylar Locklear, which Locklear transferred from Austin P to UTEP prior to the 2024 season with his head coach Scotty Walden. Started for the Miners last year, and then Nelson came in and beat him out. But it's been not good for Nelson at UTEP. I mean, in 5 games, he's thrown 9 interceptions. The team has thrown 10 as a whole. And Nelson got benched in their game last week against Louisiana Tech with about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, down by multiple scores. Locklear came in, and Locklear immediately, it was 24-3. He immediately entered the game and led the Miners on a touchdown drive to get back in to try to make some late run. And then his next drive, he threw a pick 6. So, we're not sure who's going to be the starter between Nelson and Locklear. I kind of lean towards it probably is going to be Locklear, although you could see Nelson maybe getting another shot, at least to start the game. I mean, you would think with Nelson, your ceiling's a lot higher, but maybe your floor is pretty low too. And Locklear can be the more proven guy, more steady, consistent guy. That's what Scotty Walden's got to figure out. That's what Liberty's going to be looking at. The offense has kind of struggled for UTEP this year. They're averaging just a hair over 20 points a game, 7th in Conference USA in total offense, 10th in Conference USA, 123rd in the country in rushing offense. They average just over 100 yards a game. If you're a Liberty fan, you like that, right? Like, Liberty has been gashed in the run game all season and most of last year too. And so if you're going up against a team that's one of the worst in the conference, one of the worst in the country, and running the ball, hopefully you can have some success on the defensive side of the ball, and hopefully you can also force some turnovers, as UTEP is one of the worst in the country, obviously, as I said, in interceptions, but also in turnover margin this season. On the defensive side of the ball, UTEP actually leads Conference USA in total defense. They are holding, and it's 340 yards a game, but that's what they're giving up each week. But that is the best number in Conference USA. Teams are scoring 26.5 points against them. They're third in rush defense, holding teams 153 yards per game, third in the league. And their third down defense, they've been really good on third down defense, getting teams off the field on third downs. Opponents are only converting 24% of their third downs against this UTEP defense. A couple of names to watch out for on the defense side of the ball. Linebacker Michael Davey, he leads Conference USA with tackles. Their bandit or defensive end, Udoka Ezeani. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. He may be the early Conference USA Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year candidate, leading the conference in sacks, tackles for loss, and forced fumbles. The Miners lead Conference USA in sacks with 15. And like I said, Udoka Ezeani is kind of at the top of that. So they like to attack the quarterback, pressure the quarterback, and that's cause for concern for Liberty. So this is, if I had to guess, it's probably going to be a low-scoring game. Turnovers will likely play a big factor, as they always do, but it might be the first to 20 wins type of contest, and whoever can hold on to the ball the best. But it's an important game for Liberty out there in the Sun Bowls on a Wednesday night, and like I said, they're 1-4, so the Sun Bowl can get large and raucous crowds. I'm not sure we're going to see that on a Wednesday night for a 1-4 team that's coming off 2 straight losses at home. Not just Louisiana Tech, we'll talk about them later this year. They may be the favorite in Conference USA at this point of the season, just shy of halfway through the year. But they also lost to Louisiana Monroe at home a couple weeks ago. Then lost to Texas 27-10. No harm, no foul there. Opened the season with a loss to Utah State 28-16. Their only win came against UT Martin 42-17, which just comparing the scores, that obviously is a better looking win than what Liberty had over Maine to open the season. But it's 2 teams desperate for a win, and we'll have to see how the Flames respond. You can come out and fight. You've been pushed into a corner, your back's against the wall, you're gonna come out and fight, or you're just gonna lay down and die. That's what's going to be decided this week. You got a few extra days to heal your wounds, lick your chops, and try to get back at it. But it's doable, right? This game is winnable. But Liberty's got to do things they haven't done before, and got to take care of the ball, protect the quarterback, put some points on the board on offense, and defensively has got to do what they did against Old Dominion, right? Give up yardage, but keep them off the scoreboard and out of the end zone. So it'll be interesting. This is a huge game for the Flames, and the season can take 2 widely different turns based on how this game plays out. Talk to you guys soon.